All right, time for part two of my currently listening video for today. This is the non-classical section of the video. Now, before we begin, I want to remind everyone again, if you are enjoying this content, please hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. So the first selection I have today from our non-classical side is a folk artist, an older folk artist named Nick Drake, and I listened to his debut album, Five Leaves Left, and I have to tell you guys, this was an amazing album. The first half of the album is extremely melancholic and wistful, while the second half of the album is more dreamy and ruminative. And these two sides of the album work great together. One of the things I loved about this album is the harmony. Nick Drake has a fantastically sophisticated sense of harmony. You won't hear very many standard 1-4-5-1 chord progressions on this album. What you will hear is a deep sense of harmony that teeters between major and minor, that laments and sighs and adds so much depth to the wistful, dreamy quality of this album. I was very impressed by that. Another thing I was really impressed by is the instrumental variety on this album. Nearly every track has a different instrument combination, whether that be guitar, piano, and drums, whether that be flutes and strings, whether that be a vibraphone and a drum kit, whether that be a jazz bass and a drum and guitar. All those combinations are here on this album. It even has a track that features a oboe and English horn duet. And that amount of variety really makes for a well-rounded album. Even though the tone of the album remains fairly consistent, within that consistency is a huge variety of fantastic instrumental ensembles. And what I love about the playing here is that Nick Drake and all the other players on this album, they don't get sucked into just repeating a pattern, repeating a loop over and over again. A lot of songs, I think, get stuck into, just repeating a loop over and over again, right? Or a lot of guitarists and folk guitarists get stuck just like strumming chords in this very dun 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 dun, this very repetitive and sort of banal manner that just makes things not very exciting, not very lively and fluid. But Nick Drake does not make this mistake on this album. He keeps his lines, his guitar lines, flowing and alive. He never gets stuck in the pattern of just strumming the guitar. It feels fluid and natural and keeps the energy and momentum of the music going on and interesting throughout. And the same is true for all the other musicians on this album. The third track, called 3 Hours, features the guitar, the jazz string bass, and a bongo-like drum. And the kinetic energy of the interaction between these three instruments is just so infectious. And it almost provides like this sense of danger, this living, breathing energy that the players provide almost threatens to take over the music in an almost threatening tone, but in a good way, right? But all the performances on this album are like that. It's a very jazz-like approach almost, in that instead of these constructed loops that the music rides on, um, you have the input of living, breathing players in the moment, with their own character and their own style of playing, and it just makes the music so much more vibrant and alive. But if you don't listen to any other song on this album, you have to listen to Riverman. This is such a beautiful song. Um, the way the harmony teeters between major and minor modes, and takes such surprising twists and turns. The music is sad, nostalgic, eerie, thoughtful. The strings, there are strings in this album, and the strings are so beautiful. Um, Sometimes they add a sense of foreboding and eeriness. Sometimes they're above the music with an iridescent, glowing quality. This whole movement, or this whole, I'm still in classical music mode. This whole song is just so beautiful. Another beautiful song is the cello song. The cello song is a song that really gives a sense of the lone traveler. It paints a great picture of a vast land out before you, ready to be explored. And there's a little cello line, a solo cello line, a lonely little cello line that punctuates the music. And you can just hear the sun setting over the horizon with this cello line. It's very simple, but so effective. Another beautiful track is Thoughts of Mary Jane. This track features flutes and wonderful cinematic strings, in the probably the most positive and loveliest track on the album overall. But yes, I highly recommend this album, again by Nick Drake, 5 Leaves Left. It's one of the most beautiful, nostalgic, melancholic, wistful albums that I've listened to lately. Highly recommended, again. The last piece of music I have for you today is an album by the post-rock band Explosions in the Sky. The Earth is Not a Cold Dead Place is the name of the album. This album is full of just these waves of instrumental build-ups, waves of emotion. It's a very post-rock style where things are always building up and coming down, like the crashing of waves. That's the sense I get from this kind of music. The overall mood of the music is very hopeful, inspirational, feel good. It's a very beautiful, inspiring album, and that's a very tough thing to express convincingly in music, I must say, because it's very easy for hopeful, inspirational music to come off sounding kind of corny or cheesy or cheap. But Explosions in the Sky, I think, pulls off this kind of emotion with a lot of success. My favorite tracks on this album are by far the second and third tracks. The second track is The Only Moment We Were Alone. What I like so much about this track is the guitar lines. There's a lot of guitar duet work in this track, and the intricate way that the guitar lines interweave and intertwine with each other really suggests the title of the track, The Only Moment We Were Alone, in that it expresses this really intimate moment between two people while this wave of expression and emotion just envelops them like a cocoon. It's very powerful, beautiful stuff, I must say. The third track is called 6 Days at the Bottom of the Ocean. And what I like about this track is that this band has their style is all about building towards climaxes and, you know, like I said earlier, like these waves of building up and coming down. But there are moments on this track, these really beautiful, soft moments. They're my favorite, almost my favorite parts of the album, where the music is building and building and building, and then suddenly it cuts off, and we're left with this beautiful, this beautiful, isolated moment on the lonely guitar lines, and there's some great atmosphere created in these moments. This great quiet whisper atmosphere that's very special. It makes you want to listen very closely, quiet down, and there's some great panning from ear to ear. Just great atmosphere. This album has great atmosphere. And the other track I want to mention is Memorial. This track is one of the slower, less energetic tracks on the album, but it has some surprisingly punchy harmonies in it, and I was very pleasantly surprised by that. The only criticism I might have of this album, for me personally, all the tracks sound kind of a little bit too similar. I think that overall that does work with this album, because you could say that each track is kind of a different side of the same emotional beat, the same kind of moment. You could think of this whole album as kind of a moment. So it kind of works, but just for me personally, it does get a little bit old, or a little bit. It's a little bit long for my taste for this kind of music, I guess. Another thing is, these are just personal things again for me. The atmosphere of this album relies heavily on cymbal washes, and that sound gets quite tiring after a while when it's in the background of almost this entire album. You do start to notice it, and for me personally, it does start to get a little grating. But overall, it's a great album. I recommend a listen. It has great, feel-good, inspiring, hopeful atmosphere, and great intricate lines. It's not just one wash of an atmosphere. It's an atmosphere with lots of lines inside the atmosphere, and lots of stuff going on within the atmosphere that make it interesting and exciting to listen to. So that's Explosions in the Sky. The album is The Earth Is Not a Cold Dead Place. So yeah, that's my currently listening to videos for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you've listened to any of these pieces or albums, or have your own input or your own opinion on any of the music I talked about today, please leave a comment. I would love to engage with my audience. And hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and I look forward to talking with you on my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Even though